So this is a quick video, and if you'd like more information about how GEC handles standards, you're welcome to go into our we have a bigger playlist on this. But I want to just point out what a hybrid academic and language program is. It's a program that has academic standards and it has language standards, and they're combined, right? So GEC has spent a whole lot of time and effort to structure academic standards in a certain way, and very carefully, and then also the same with the language standards. Now, although we have, and we call this CLIL, right? When you have academic and language hybrid program is a CLIL program. And we did start off with CEFR as a governing standards body because it's a EFL standards body. We're teaching students who don't live in an immersion English environment, whereas like ACTFL is a standards body for students who live in America where the indigenous language is English, and there's those advantages. But whenever we're doing standards alignments, like we've done Vietnam Ministry of Education standards, we've done Japan Ministry of Education standards, and aligned them to our system. When you do this, there's an easy way that's less powerful. That's where you just take the standards body and you just put them in a spreadsheet, and you go through your courses and your lessons, and you find lessons that match, and you fill in all of that spreadsheet, and you're going to come up with, depends, but 70% of it's going to be covered by just what we already have. Because when it comes to your core competencies, your reading, listening, speaking, writing, vocabulary, grammar, these are pretty ubiquitous. I mean, they just go across. And when you're dealing with functional language topics, which are these are going to also be very like introducing yourself, like talking about your hobbies, your favorite this and your favorite that, and your family. These are all these functional language topics that are just everywhere. They just go straight across. And then now when you come to can-do statements, these can be a little bit different. Like, for example, some of these abstract can-do statements in ACTFL, for example, they're really targeting a migrant student's sensitivity to American culture. All right, so those are very specific can-do statements that we may not have support for. But out of all of this, the core competencies and the functional topics, this is the smallest body. The abstract can-do statements that are more pertain to specialized use of specialized language, really, specialized use of specialized language. But in any case, out of let's say that 30% was missing, this is the smallest sort of cadre of competencies that you're targeting, and most of what's missing is going to be here. So really, the rest is just simply a matter of alignment. So what do I mean by alignment? You take, it's just that. You take what you have existing and you match it up with what standard you're trying to target. And over 70% is going to be covered just by doing that. Now the simple way, the quick way we talked about, you just take these and you go direct. But what we're showing here is more complex and powerful, where you take the Vietnam standards and you align them with the GEC standards. And the GEC standards are already tagged into the course curriculum, so you've accomplished a lot there, just by simply doing standards alignments instead of standard to standard alignment instead of standard to corpus alignment. Okay, and then what you find out is you're going to have some empties, and when you find the empties, a lot of times you can simply add what we call alternative supports, and this would be a different lesson plan or a different instructional assignment to cover these. So maybe out of the 30% that's missing, maybe you can cover half of that using alt support, doing an ACTFL lesson plan instead of a CEFR lesson plan, or doing a an added instructional assignment on a specific topic, a topic that will work but does not have the instructional design to support this abstract can-do target. So you've got your curriculum, you got your course design, and you've got your instructional design. And what we're saying is that a lot of the difference can be handled through alternative instructional design. Okay, and then you have the stuff that you just don't care about. So, you know, that might be another 5%. Let's say you handle 15% with alt support. 5% you just eliminate. Who cares? And then the other 10% you might be authoring some new course material for that. And why I say this is the more powerful way is that when we create new alt support, we have accommodated within our standards. We're addressing them in our standards, but we're addressing them through a different, like I said, a lesson plan or a different instructional assignment, and those are tagged with the standard, right? And that standard has been now migrated from here to here. And the next, let's say that we are able, out of this 30% missing, that we decide to cover another 25%. And if we do it this way, now our GEC standards body is 25%. Well, that 25% that's coming from adding the Vietnamese has just strengthened this standards body. And now the next one, when we come in with a Japan one, rather than having 70% initially aligned, we're going to have 80% initially aligned. So that's the reason why I'm saying that, like, this approach makes, overall, it makes our language training platform and our standards body much more powerful over time. And this comes to us from the lessons, again, that we've learned in the U.S., where you have 50 states with 50 different academic standards, sets of academic standards. And the project we were involved with back, a number of years ago was where every standard from every state was assembled into one body, and then a massive corpus, a huge investment of coursework was created to address all of those standards. And now you take that project into any given state, and it's not an additive process anymore, it's a reduction process. Right? Now we have more standards than you need, and more coursework than you need, so it simply is reducing to define your scope, because it's a smaller scope, and then realigning, which means sequencing and scheduling, and that's all it is. And so this is a strategic approach to standards, to addressing alternative standards, which I think is superior.